A memo that Steve Harvey wrote when he was previously working in Chicago has been leaked by a member of his staff. My lawyer called me and said, "Hey man, we got a problem. You haven't paid taxes in 7 years." So he said, "Man, that's tax evasion. You can go to prison for 7 years for 7 years." How much money did that I ended up owing? 22 million. Wow, 22 million with the penalties paradise. It's almost as if things have simply gotten worse for Steve over the years. We've just been too focused on his success to see it. But those days appear to have come to an end, because what we're hearing about Steve today is beyond out of pocket. Stay tuned, you're busy. I hear you, brother, but that doesn't give you permission to be such a jerk to the people you work with. You could easily say Steve Harvey is one of a very short list of people who seem to have figured out the secret to the good life. I mean, all we see this guy do is give advice and go on vacations to the most exotic places. But all of that appears to be a facade. Don't get me wrong, the man is considered one of the most successful people in the world, as he has multiplied his net worth over and over again. But it appears that when we weren't looking, Steve was busy getting his hands dirty. Is today being the day of reckoning? He's finally getting exposed for the lie he's been living. I just want to note that this kind of behavior is applauded in this industry. It begins with the fact that Steve might have run a char, according to reports, several years ago. Steve Harvey was sued by a former employee who claimed the Family Feud presenter cheated him out of millions of dollars he said he earned for Harvey's charity. Harvey's representative Todd Frank disputes the charges, saying they sound fabricated. In the suit obtained by TMZ, ex-employee Vincent Dimmick claimed that Harvey hired him back in April to help raise $20 million for the Steve and Marjorie Foundation, as well as other ventures. Dimmick claimed that in exchange for his work, he was promised 12.5% of everything he brought in. Dimmick claimed that he kept his end of the bargain and delivered $1 million through his high-profile connections, but Harvey allegedly refused to pay the employee commission. Not only did the TV mogul allegedly refuse to pay him directly after completing the job, but Dimmick claimed that Harvey appeared to have no intentions of paying him at all. In addition to the company's financial difficulties, he apparently blamed Barack Obama for Harvey's unfortunate encounter with Donald Trump. Dimmick stated that Harvey thought disastrous PR maneuvers were also to blame for the company's deterioration. If you were a lovely guy, people wouldn't send this out, but Dimmick had a quite different impression of his old client. The accusations that Steve appeared to be involved in the fraud case were shocking because over the years the comedian had already been involved in a plethora of charity events ranging from the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation, which had a mission to give back to impoverished areas and communities, all the way to the United Negro Colleague. Without debt, it's difficult to see how Steve Harvey could have been involved in plans to siphon money meant for his charity organization. However, when you look at the rap sheet of court cases the comedian has been involved in over the years, it becomes much easier to see that possibility. It starts with a $60 million claim from his ex-wife that he was allegedly doing the unthinkable to her. According to E! News at the time the suit was filed, Mary Harvey sued the 65-year-old for conspiracy against rights, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and solemn asterisk order, among other things. Harvey's attorney, Brandon R. Williams, told Entertainment Tonight, in a statement Mr. Harvey vehemently denies any allegations set forth in the lawsuit. The complaint is meritless, frivolous, and the allegations are completely false. We will vigorously defend counterclaim against in 2016. A fitness model and single mother who appeared on the Steve Harvey Show sued the presenter for sexual harassment. Dominique Collier sued Steve Harvey, claiming that he and his producers forced her to dress less modestly than she desired and subjected her to unpleasant crowd criticism during the recording of an episode of Harvey's talk show that aired in April 2016. Who says that to a coworker? The arrogance of thinking that I am significant and you are nothing. According to TMZ, Collier also alleged that her images were edited to make her look more provocative on the show. Her complaint stated that while she arrived for taping in a pencil skirt and full coverage blouse, by the time the cameras rolled, the show's producers had forced her to change into a form-fitting skirt and a halter top once more. This isn't particularly a good look for Steve, considering where we're coming from in this story. But to sum it up, people have been calling out his wife on social media for being in the picture because of Steve's money, and Steve Harvey is married for the third time. Steve is Marjorie's third husband. Her first husband was Jim Townsend, a former drug kingpin who was investigated by several law enforcement agencies. The former couple married in the early 1990s, but divorced less than 5 years later when he was jailed. Townsend was captured after attempting to purchase 40 kilograms of cocaine, and a court sentenced him to life in prison. Townsend was released from jail in January 2017 after President Barack Obama pardoned him. The FBI and DEA investigated not only Townsend, but also Marjorie, since they suspected she was involved in illegal operations as well. They even threatened Townsend that they would arrest Marjorie if she did not comply. Authorities never charged Marjorie with anything. It was also said that Marjorie and Townsend remained friends until she married Steve in June 2007. Townsend wrote 2/3 of the memoir he released after walking out of jail. In it, he opened up about his illegal activities and relationship with Marjorie, including how she was allegedly involved in his crimes. Did I mention that her second husband was also arrested for drug-related crimes? One could be an accident, but two seems more like a choice if this woman was choosing alleged criminals as her life partners. Fans are beginning to believe that Marjorie is to blame for Steve's life turning upside down. One person who seemed to have a lot of facts on the case wrote not TikTokers exposing Marjorie Harvey. She married a kingpin back in the day he got caught and served time. And then she married another heroin kingpin. And get this, it was her first husband's cousin. They both served time. And she went on to marry Steve. Steve appears to be a lot more to the Harvey family than we believed. That concludes this video. A memo that Steve Harvey wrote when he was previously working in Chicago has been leaked by a member of his staff. My lawyer called me and said, "Hey man, we got a problem. You haven't paid taxes in 7 years." So he said, "Man, that's tax evasion. You can go to prison for 7 years for 7 years. How much money did that I ended up owing? 22 million. Wow, 22 million with the penalties. Paradise." It's almost as if things have simply gotten worse for Steve over the years. We've just been too focused on his success to see it. But those days appear to have come to an end, because what we're hearing about Steve today is beyond out of pocket. Stay tuned, you're busy. I hear you, brother, but that